What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you thought the Indiana Fever were going to struggle, I'm here to tell you they've been playing chess while the rest of the WNBA was playing checkers. This team is building something special, and their latest moves prove it. Remember all the talk about Caitlin Clark being bullied on the court last season? Well, the Fever just put an end to that. How? By acquiring one of the toughest, most fearless enforcers in the league, Sophie Cunningham. Let's break this down, because this move is a game changer for Indiana. Sophie Cunningham, the missing piece. On the same day they traded for Natasha Howard, the Fever made another bold move by acquiring Sophie Cunningham from the Phoenix Mercury. A lot of people were confused by this trade, but if you look at the big picture, it makes perfect sense. Sophie Cunningham isn't just tough, she's an elite shooter. She averaged 18 points per game last season while shooting an incredible 45% from three-point range. Not only does she bring toughness, but she also adds even more firepower to Indiana's offense. Most importantly, she's here to protect Caitlin Clark. No more cheap shots, no more bullying. Cunningham is ready to stand her ground. If anyone tries to mess with Clark, they're going to have to go through Sophie first, and the best part. The Fever barely gave up anything to get her. The Fever sent the No. 8th pick in the 2025 WNBA draft to Dallas in exchange for Cunningham, all while staying under the salary cap. Some fans might be upset about losing that pick, but let's be real. How many know? 8 picks in WNBA history have made an immediate impact. Not many Indiana is in win-now mode. They don't have time to wait for a rookie to develop. They need players who can step in right now and contribute. Cunningham and Howard do exactly that. Speaking of Natasha Howard, let's talk about how big this move is for the Fever. This isn't just another player. She's a 3-time WNBA champion with over 50 games of playoff experience. One of Indiana's biggest weaknesses last season was their lack of playoff experience. In their first playoff game since 2016, none of their starters had played in the postseason before. That changes with Howard, who knows exactly what it takes to win. She's also a perfect fit for Indiana's system. She's an elite pick-and-roll player. She's a dominant rim runner, which pairs perfectly with Caitlin Clark's vision. She spaces the floor, giving Clark and Kelsey Mitchell more room to operate. With Howard and Cunningham on board, Indiana's lineup just got a massive upgrade. Let's take a step back and look at what Indiana has done. They've added 2 immediate impact players without giving up any of their core stars. They've addressed their biggest weaknesses, toughness, defense, and experience, without breaking the bank. The Fever are not just trying to make the playoffs again, they're building a dynasty, and they're not done yet. They still have cap space to make one more big move in free agency. If they land another star, they could be a top 4 team in the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham isn't just a role player, she's a game changer for Indiana. When people talk about her, they focus on her toughness, and rightfully so. Cunningham has built a reputation as one of the WNBA's most fearless and gritty players. She doesn't back down from anyone, and that's exactly what the Fever needed. One of the biggest complaints about the Fever last season was that they lacked physicality and an enforcer. Cunningham fixes that immediately. She's someone who plays with a chip on her shoulder and isn't afraid to mix it up. If opponents try to rough up Caitlin Clark or any of her teammates, Cunningham will make sure they think twice. Last season, Cunningham averaged 18 points per game while shooting an insane 45% from 3. The Fever already had great shooters in Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, but now they add another lights-out shooter who spaces the floor and punishes defenders. This means Clark and Mitchell will have even more room to operate, leading to easier scoring opportunities for everyone. While most people know her as a shooter, Cunningham is also a capable defender who can guard multiple positions. She brings a level of toughness and intensity on defense that the Fever desperately needed. This makes Indiana a more balanced team, able to compete with physical squads like the New York Liberty and Las Vegas Aces. One of the biggest criticisms of the Fever last season was their lack of playoff experience. This was painfully clear in their first playoff game since 2016, where none of their starters had ever played in the postseason before. That changes now. Howard has won 3 WNBA titles, 2 with the Minnesota Lynx and 1 with the Seattle Storm. She has over 50 playoff games under her belt, something that no one on last year's Fever roster had. In high-pressure situations, she knows exactly what it takes to win, and that kind of experience is invaluable for a young team like Indiana. One of Caitlin Clark's biggest strengths is her court vision and passing ability. Howard is an elite pick-and-roll player and rim runner, making her the perfect target for Clark's signature full-court passes. Expect to see tons of fast break plays with Clark feeding Howard for easy buckets. Howard isn't just an offensive weapon, she's a versatile defender who can guard multiple positions. She also spaces the floor, meaning Indiana's offense will be even more dynamic. One of the biggest storylines last season was how Caitlin Clark was being bullied by WNBA veterans. She was constantly on the receiving end of hard fouls, aggressive defense, and even some unnecessary cheap shots. Opponents tried to get inside her head, and at times, it worked. With Sophie Cunningham and Natasha Howard now in the lineup, the Fever have added two fearless physical veterans who won't let Clark get pushed around. Cunningham in particular is known for not backing down from anyone. If another team tries to get rough with Clark, they'll have to deal with Sophie first. This is a huge development for Clark's game because she can now focus on playing her game without worrying about unnecessary fouls or cheap shots. She has teammates who will stand up for her, making her more confident on the court. She will command more respect from opposing teams, as they know there will be consequences if they go after her. This move ensures that Clark can play freely and do what she does best: dominate the game with her scoring, passing, and basketball IQ. The Indiana Fever have completely transformed their roster this offseason. They took a team that barely made the playoffs and turned them into a legitimate title contender in just one offseason. Here's what their new look lineup could look like: Caitlin Clark, elite playmaker scorer Kelsey Mitchell, deadly shooter scorer Sophie Cunningham, tough enforcer sharpshooter Natasha Howard, championship caliber big Aaliyah Boston, rising star dominant post player. That's a scary lineup. They have elite shooting Clark Mitchell Cunningham, defensive versatility Howard Cunningham Boston, championship experience Howard, toughness physicality Cunningham Howard. They also still have cap space to make another big move in free agency. If they land another star player, the Fever could be a top 4 team in the WNBA. The Fever didn't just make trades, they changed the way teams should build a contender. They added 2 proven, immediate impact veterans instead of waiting for rookies to develop. They addressed their biggest weaknesses: defense, toughness, and experience, without overpaying. They positioned themselves as a serious title threat in just their second season with Caitlin Clark. Lot of people doubted the Fever, but now they're laughing all the way to the playoffs. This isn't just a team trying to compete. This is a team trying to build a dynasty. What do you think? Are the Indiana Fever title contenders now? Do you think Cunningham and Howard make them one of the best teams in the WNBA, or do they still need one more big move? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more WNBA content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.